From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neil McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Fire Away Friday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neil McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. We'll take your questions. Got a good many of them. We'll delve into those here shortly on the show. This is brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon. Remember, starting October 1st, a free gas for a year sweepstakes with all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. All you have to do is register for the Exxon Mobile Rewards Plus program. Hopefully you've done that anyway. We've talked about that for a while now. Then you use that card to fill up with at least 8 gallons or more at participating Exxon Blue Sky stations. You're automatically entered through October 31st for that free gas for a year sweepstakes there with Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford to Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number that you should dial. Once you dial it, you get an answer, and you ask for Corey Clark, and you tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for, and he's going to send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle, no propaganda, no predatory lending, none of the stuff that you get from a lot of car dealers. With Corey, it's right to the bottom line. It's going to tell you what you can get, and then the rest is up to you. You can take that quote and you can start shopping. You can shop till your heart's content. That's your prerogative. Or you can do what I've done, what a lot of people who listen to our family of podcasts have done, and that's hop into a Clark Ford. You will love the service. You will absolutely love the service after the sale. Delivery options, whether maybe you don't even have to go to Amory to get the vehicle. They'll bring it to you. They've done it for a lot of people. They'll do it for you as well. 662-257-1900.
So we at rebelgrove.com, by the way, and with the podcast network, a lot of stuff, beer gardens, soft verbal, and more. So that on the site at rebelgrove.com, plenty of podcasts for your perusal over today and the weekend, and then obviously plenty of message board discussion and more. Ole Miss and Alabama 2:30 CBS tomorrow. So with all that out of the way, we'll jump into questions this morning. Yes, they can be non-baseball related. I get the joke. Who is the starting quarterback against Vanderbilt? I think it's Matt Corral.
Yeah, I'd go with Corral. My gut feeling is that Corral's not going to play tomorrow and that he'll be the starter against Vanderbilt.
That is my interpretation as well. Sort of sourced, so kind of, a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, mine is semi-sourced.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't worked it all that hard because I don't know that middle of the week they really knew. I don't think Corral's going to play. Here's where they're in a funny spot, Chase, and you know this. His coaches can't say these things out loud. They know they're not beating Alabama. And so playing Matt Corral a little injured against Alabama and getting him a lot injured would be a mistake. This gives them an opportunity to play, my opinion, they're going to play 2 quarterbacks. Gives them an opportunity to look at these 2 guys, see where they stand. I would suspect that they need to play Grant Tisdale in a number of different ways. They probably need to give him an opportunity. I could be wrong. No one's told me that. I'm kind of putting a few things together that I've heard back channels. But they know that it's going to be a talking point moving forward. No one's going to hold a 40-point loss to Alabama against them. If they lose to Vanderbilt, from a fan standpoint, from a morale standpoint, from a moving forward standpoint, it gets really difficult at that point. It really gets really difficult to salvage the rest, not even the rest of the season. It just gets difficult to salvage any public confidence. I'm sure we'll talk about chancellors and ADs and stuff somewhere down the road in this show, but I don't know whether all of this people, what does so-and-so get fired? Man, you're way ahead of anything at that point. But in terms of getting people to believe in you enough to invest in the second half of the season, the Vanderbilt game is absolutely critical.
Agree 100% with that. I feel like we had this question a little bit last week, but whatever, as I'm going down the list. Making a PB&J and you can't choose grape or strawberry jam for your sandwich, what do you pick? Well, I'd go with Nutella first, but if I had to do a jam or jelly of some sort, it would be a peach preserve.
Yeah, it seems like I answered this last week.
I think they asked us what our favorite jelly was other than grape last week. I think that's what it was.
I like apple jelly and I like blackberry jelly. So if I were doing a peanut butter and jelly, I would do one of those. Frankly, if I'm doing a PB and something, I like peanut butter and honey better than I like peanut butter and any jelly.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about honey. That's fine. I know some people that put butter on their peanut butter sandwiches. Never done that before.
I haven't done that either.
Yeah. All right. Question here. In the extreme heat, some sort of punishment for the football gods to add another layer of misery to the experience. I mean, losing is bad, but losing in 100-degree heat is downright hellacious. Well, it's not going to be 100 anymore this year. It's going to be down from that. It's all good.
I don't know, Chase.
Neil said all the months are just pushed back, so we're at the end of August. It's going to be pleasant here in a couple weeks.
Next week, the highs are pulling it up now. Next week, the highs here are in the 90s.
It's not 100.
No, not 100, but
quite warm.
Not
Saturday
pleasant.
night at 6:30, it'll be pleasant, right? I mean, for the love of it's going to be like October 5th.
Yeah, next Saturday the high is 88, the low is 63. The highs for the next few days here in lovely Oxford: 93, 92, 94, 95, 95, 95, 93. And then Friday the 4th, 87, 88, 87. It is Tuesday, October the 8th, if you believe that weather people can get it right that far out, when we have our first cool day.
I think I mentioned this on the podcast today. The meteorologist, or one of the meteorologists in Tuscaloosa, put on Facebook several days ago that, somewhere around that October 5th stretch is when it really started to kind of, if it continued on the current path, we're going to start seeing some lower temperatures.
Yeah, Tuesday the 8th, according to the Weather Channel, high of 79 and a low of 54.
Okay. I'll buy it.
I mean.
But even then, 79.
Yeah,
October the 8th.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to need a sleeve the entire football season.
Can I take us off topic for a second? Because I made the mistake of pulling up Twitter while we were talking.
Sure. It's Friday show. What?
And a historian named Jeremy Bash, I don't know who he is.
Okay.
Quote, "This is the most serious allegation against an American president in our country's history." I have not kept up with the news. Is it really that serious, or is that hyperbolic?
I mean, there have been some pretty serious allegations toward American presidents over the years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, let's see. Jeremy Bash is an American attorney. He was the chief of staff at the U.S. Department of Defense and the Central Intelligence Agency, both under Barack Obama.
Okay, so partisan. I'm not saying he's wrong or right. I just needed to know where are we coming from here.
It wasn't like Beschloss or something where you went, okay, well, all
right. I was like, if Beschloss says that, I'm like, whoa, turn the TV on. Everybody's so damn partisan now that I just, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Chase, what 2 to 3 bottles do you currently have on your shelf you're drinking? I'll be honest, I have not drank much at all lately. I've had to put essentially an embargo on myself to not buy any bottles because I'm not consuming them fast enough and they're just overflowing. I don't know what my deal is. I bet I have not had 10 drinks in 6 months.
You all right?
I'm telling you, I haven't. I mean, socially, fine, a couple, whatever, but just sitting around, I seriously, I bet in the last 6 months I haven't 10 times just poured something into a glass at night.
Wow.
Mm-mm. Don't really even miss it that, whatever. I'm good. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Nothing's happened. I mean, life's the same. No problems. Just,
poured a glass of Pinot Noir and watched some of the third quarter of the Eagles and Packers last night.
Yeah. If it's not a party or a restaurant or something, I just haven't.
Yeah, it's
So
good.
I've had to, but things on my shelf that if I go right now and pour, have a bottle of McKenna that you're aware of from a few weeks ago. Still have a little Widow Jane 12 left. You tried that as well, and I was given a bottle of Whistle Pig, but I have not opened it yet. But those would be the three probably.
I saw Whistle Pig on the shelves in Oxford. I don't want to name the place because I don't want people to go steal it from me. But I didn't buy it because I didn't really know which Whistle Pig is the one that everyone raves about. Is it the rye or the regular?
The rye, but they're different years or your options, but it's really good. It's also kind of expensive for what it is, a little bit. It's very, very good, but when I look at it, I go, okay, fine, but a little bit with it. If you want to give me a bottle, hey, I'm all in. But I don't know necessarily that I want to go buy the 12-year for $130 either.
Yeah, like I've got a bottle of Blanton's that I haven't opened because I hate to turn it into have it on a Tuesday night. I've got a bottle of Blade and Bow that I haven't opened, and I've got the aforementioned bottle of McKenna as well that I have not opened.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, baseball questions. Servideo at leadoff, question mark. Oh, God. I haven't really thought about a lineup in order. Sure, as good a chance as any. I think let's do it this way. I'll give you an answer without giving an answer. Let's do it defensively, what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to go Keenan.
Plumlee leading off in some order, right?
Plumlee and Ely playing, yes. They're both going to play center field. They're just going to stick them right next to one another and let them take half of the field every time a ball's hit.
Sell tickets.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Left to right, Keenan, Servideo, Justin Bench, Kevin Graham. I think Knox LaPasser and Hayden Dunhurst are going to platoon at catcher to start the year. And then I think the outfield is Leatherwood, Walsh, and Elko. And then if things pan out, I think they would like Kel Baker to DH. We'll see if he can hit at this level. JUCO kids scare me. Everybody knows that. So we'll see.
So Jerry and Ely is the starting pitcher? Or?
Well, the next question, Ely mostly base runner, midweek player. I mean, yeah, of course, you'd like him to run some bases late in games. He's very good defensively. I just don't see a role. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see any more of a role than that. I think Plumlee has a better chance at a significant role. However, if Plumlee does by some chance become the starting quarterback, you can't play baseball too, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Breakout pitcher of the year. If it doesn't have to be a returner, I'm going to go with Forsythe, the kid from Meridian. I think he's the closer this year. So, let's do that. All right, moving on. Will we all see a White Claw beer shower this year at Swayze? Oh, God, don't do that to me. I don't know. Sure. It's all the rage, apparently.
I've not tried it.
It's fine. It's fine. I tried one on a golf course one day. It's all right. I'm not. I've gotten a little more into like LaCroix or something. I can drink it. I used to hate it. It's fine. So it's sort of just the alcoholic version of that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I haven't had it.
Okay. Sorry. I had text. All right. Sorry. You know what I'm dealing with. I'm just in my.
I do.
I'm in my head a little bit right now. Anyway. Okay.
Shortly. I'm prepared to help you with that shortly.
Okay. OM575, how good is Plumlee's arm? SEC quality. I mean, let's see it when he has to throw the ball a little bit. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
the scout report is that no, it's not SEC quality.
Yeah.
We'll see. Those are not always right.
He's going to get an opportunity.
He's a really athletic player. Georgia recruited him. Auburn recruited him. A lot of people recruited him, I think, envisioning him in the slot, envisioning him playing a myriad of roles. He wanted to be a quarterback. Ole Miss offered him that opportunity, and he's at Ole Miss. He can really run. He has a leadership ability that is not teachable, a charisma that is not teachable. But there are questions from the recruiting process from those kinds of schools about his arm strength. Does he have the arm to make the SEC throws that keep a defense honest? Here's the truth. We'll start to find out a little bit tomorrow, I think.
Oh, okay. One Block East says, if it isn't Robbins, who gets the job? Obviously, speaking of the Ole Miss Chancellor position. I've delayed this 48 hours. You asked me this on Wednesday, didn't you?
I did. I did it, and it wasn't me being a jerk. It was me knowing that you know more than you're able to say, and I was trying to sort of prod you along. And I'm going to help you a little here.
Okay. All right, let's combine these two questions as we're doing this. The next question says, when discussing the Chancellor search, you mentioned several decision makers don't want Bobby Robbins. Is that because A, has a glaring flaw past issue to these people, or B, it would mean their person of choice is not picked? So go ahead. Let's put two questions together.
Okay. So I have a source. You know who the source is.
I do.
Not affiliated with Ole Miss.
Nope.
National source. Not in the SEC.
Correct.
And we were talking over the last week or so. And he told me pretty emphatically. He said, tell you what I hear about Robbins. I said, okay. He said, I hear that it is likely, based on things that Robbins has said, that Robbins is using the vacancy at Ole Miss to solidify even further his position at Arizona. And I said, you mean money? He said, I don't know. I don't know that it's money. I don't know that it's silencing a detractor, if it's just strengthening his stability, whatever. He said, but I think, based on what I'm told, that it's more likely than not that Robbins is using the Ole Miss vacancy as leverage, and that if everything works out the way he would like it to, he will stay at Arizona. Now, that's one source. It is a source who is not affiliated with Ole Miss, who has no bias to or against Ole Miss, who just is aware of the situation at Arizona enough to form an educated opinion.
Within about 24 hours of you getting that, I spoke to someone else nationally who didn't say the same thing, but essentially said that it probably would not get done as far as a move to Ole Miss, that there's a lot going on in Arizona, and it felt like just the whole landscape of the situation right now would keep him there. Arizona probably about to get hit with an NOA for basketball, similar to what happened in Kansas. So I don't think, and it's not really maybe even trying to be coy or anything. I'm so scatterbrained right now that I don't know exactly what I'm saying. I don't think it's that strong. And here's why. They announced just yesterday that Arizona had raised $335 million in fiscal year 2019. That's the second year in a row they broke the all-time record at the school for fundraising. He's beloved. I mean, from a capital mandate standpoint, he has as much as anyone in the country potentially at their school. So here's my thought process on why I don't necessarily buy that in that way, and I'll get back around to the problem in a second, is that to think that that's what's going on, a guy for 2 years minimum has in some ways publicly promoted himself for another position at another job when he doesn't need the capital, that frankly would just piss a lot of people off locally in Arizona. I mean, it's putting your neck out trying to leave for, frankly, a school not rated as highly academically just to see what happens and see if they can gain a little more support because I'm flirting with somebody else. Like, the long range of that does not make sense to me. It's one thing to, hey, I'm a little annoyed, let me just throw a couple feelers out. It's another to systematically try to get a position or keep your name in a position for a number of years for this job that you've applied for before, didn't get. And let me take a little caveat here, a little break to tell you that's one of the things with the IHL. The reason he didn't get it last time was that he did have the flaw in his resume if he'd never run a school before. He's fixed that now, and I'm not saying he did not fix it for the Ole Miss job. I'm just saying that was one of the flaws in the resume in the past. What's interesting to me, and what I've kind of heard, I've talked to more people than I'm willing to admit over the last 48 hours. To a point of it's almost been like a coaching search for me, and I've got to back off. It's driving me insane.
Yes.
Neil agrees.
I do.
Well, and you know how this is. You talk to we're just rambling. It's Friday. You talk to 20 people, and every one of them goes, "Hey, well, I'm going to tell you something," but and it's like, well, just don't even tell me. Just stop, because I'm not in the mood for that right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this conversation if that's where we're going.
You've hit the point, and I've done this with coaching searches. I did it in 17, where I spent 3 months on a coaching search that ended in Matt Luke, where you finally just run out of patience with the people that you're talking to. Because sometimes they get unnecessarily coy, and you just get to a place where it's like, I don't want to have the conversation anymore. Tell me when you can tell me something. Because you end up getting frustrated with yourself as a reporter, because as the information that you're getting changes, you feel like you start reversing on yourself. Because in some ways you do, because this is what people will do, well, you told me, well, if you've ever been up for a job, if you've ever negotiated a deal, things do change, sometimes overnight. I mean, there were times in my career where I was up for a job in a place, and I went to bed thinking, I've got this job, and woke up realizing I'm not getting the job. And I don't know what changed overnight. So that stuff does change quickly, even when it's been going on for, in this case, a couple of years. Sometimes something will happen where it just changes.
Okay, so let's do this. We're going to be on this for a while. Let's take a break right here before we get too far down in the weeds. We'll come back to it. We'll probably spend most of the next segment on this. So anyway, let's do this. I'll tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis, so you're getting local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing, the float down option, and with rates as low as they've been in about 2 years. It's a great time to talk to Jason at 662-234-2704. or JLOWE at CommunityMTG.com.
7 South Tailgating is owned and operated by husband and wife duo Kyle and Jordan Thornton. They're both Ole Miss alums and Oxford locals. What started as a way to pay for college has become the greatest tailgating service provider at Ole Miss. The team at 7 South are rebels through and through. They take pride in the Grove and the impact their service has on protecting, preserving, and enriching the Ole Miss game day tailgating tradition. Call directly at 662-321-1682 or visit 7southtailgating.com. Score big points with your kids by signing them up for Oxford Park Commission Youth Basketball. Registration is now open for leagues serving ages 5 to 15. The cost to play is $50 per child. There are discounts available for families with multiple players. The deadline to sign up is October the 4th. That's next week. Visit OxfordParkCommission.com for more details or to sign up. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with a personal touch. OUB also offers its customers the absolute best cash checking accounts called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on this podcast, and you will get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades, and frankly, no one knows the residential and condo market better than he does. He's also a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 7/10 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. If you're coming up next weekend for the Vanderbilt game and you are thinking about moving to Oxford, retiring in Oxford, moving within Oxford, whatever the case may be, there are several houses that are being built that are in different stages of development. Harry would be happy to show you around. The model home is at 215 William Street. So get in touch with Harry, SavannahSquareOxford.com, or call 662-801-5621.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar and Oxford. With flu season approaching, Tyson Drugs and G&M have flu vaccines available with a $0 copay on most insurance plans. No one has time to wait in line for the overworked pharmacist at the chain drugstore, so stop by one of their locally owned pharmacies where they have multiple pharmacists available dedicated to getting you in and out as quickly and painlessly as possible. That's Tyson Drugs on the Square in Holly Springs, or G&M Pharmacy located off South Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. 662-236-2222. All right. So, anyway, in saying all that, I don't think it's a straight, hey, I'm using this for leverage. I think that just doesn't fit the long-range plan.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I think there's a pull. I think there has been absolute emotional, actual energy put into approaching this position. I also think that, and look, this happened some with Dan Jones. I think that some of the issue here, a little bit, and this is mostly my opinion, but it's opinion based on just trying to read a lot of people. I think that there's the concern, and I'm putting thoughts in Bobby Robbins' head, a person I've never spoken to. I think there's a little concern on both sides, his side and the IHL side, on just how they would cooperate with one another. Is that fair? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that there's some personality quirks on all sides. I think there's, hey, I might want this job, but I'd like to get this job this way. I'd like you to come out here, blah, 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 blah. And then on the other side, it's, hey, we're not pandering, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's a lot going on. I think you got a lot of people that aren't really in the mood of going to the middle. And I think it's a deal where, hey, if you'll meet all these requirements, yeah, probably. But hey, if it's not, I got a pretty good gig too. So you can take me or leave me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think based on what I've heard, and I've spent less than a fraction of the, thank God, of the time that you have spent on this. But I've talked to some people. I know more people than I let on. And it's my fairly educated opinion that the IHL would really like to hire someone that it knows from day one they can have a nice, easy working relationship.
I think that's very fair.
And based on what I'm told, none of this is my opinion.
And again, we're speaking IHL as in one entity when there are 12 individual people. I get that, but just the overwhelming arc of it is all we're saying.
But yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a president's cabinet, those are different people representing different departments.
Of course,
but there is a homogenous whole to it as well.
Yeah, sure.
So the IHL, I think there is concern that the moment Robbins took over, that relationship could be problematic. And I don't know that they're ready to sign up for problematic.
He's a very safe choice from a fan base, from a morale standpoint, absolutely. I don't necessarily think they think he's the safest choice from a governing standpoint, in their opinions and whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Now, I think that the IHL is aware that from a public perception standpoint, there is a tremendous sentiment that's growing by the day for Robbins. And contrary to sort of the conspiracy theory out there, I think in general, all things being equal, they'd like to make a hire that their constituency would find appealing. And so I'm with you. I think Robbins, if he wants the job bad enough, I think he can have the job. What I don't think is going to happen is I don't think the IHL contingent is going to break protocol, if you will, and go out to Tucson and beg him. And I don't think that he's going to be willing to go through all of the process that they've got in place. Because there's another thing, Chase. This guy has a job. He's a really good job. A really high-paying, high-power, high-profile job. And he's very popular there. They're not trying to run him off. This isn't, hey, Jeffrey Vitter interviewing for a job where everybody at Ole Miss goes, hey, what can we do to help? And I find it somewhat unlikely that he's going to be able to manage the attention in Tucson and wind up taking the job in Oxford.
There's a couple things. He's bugged a lot of people, and you can debate right, wrong, and different, whatever. That's not the point. That he has not done a lot of the process. Like, everybody knew there'd be a different set of rules for a different number of people. Like, I think all the politicians, had they been chosen, Robbins, these other sitting chancellors and presidents at other schools, I think they were able to get a pass through that first round to try to keep as much heat off them as possible. But at some point, you do have to kind of play the game a little bit. And I think there's been some hesitancy on Robbins' sake to do that. And then, yeah, as you said, I mean, the other thing to this is simply, you know, the message. Robbins has been a fiery candidate for a long time. Ole Miss people have there's a large segment of Ole Miss people that want him. He's been a name that's been associated with this, frankly, since the Vitter stuff started coming out. And I think it was a very fine line from Robbins supporters and Robbins of, hey, we want to make sure we tell he's interested, but we don't want to make it so hot that it gets weird at Arizona. And frankly, that was unrealistic. That was never. It was always going to get heated at Arizona at some point. I mean,
because it's inside that industry.
Yeah, everybody talking,
and so it's gotten hot.
Yeah, it's gotten really hot right now. And Arizona, like I said, is probably about to get hit with an NOA. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it just has felt like
we're at the Crash Davis moment on the mound.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's kind of my point. Is in the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of like everything's kind of taking a little step here, and there's a little freak out going on right now. I'll put it that way.
Where he's put himself in a position. See, this is the thing, right? You put yourself in a position where if you go too far down this road at Ole Miss, if you're Robbins, you can't go back to Arizona. You burn your capital there.
He's trying to get a job at another school potentially under his terms while also not losing capital at his current job. And by God, that's a hell of a fine piece of thread to weave there.
And I don't think he can do it. And I don't think he's done it. And I think
there have been missteps along the way on trying to manage that situation.
He needed this deal to move much faster.
Yeah, the way this thing has played out has not been to his betterment.
No, he needed the spring and summer to go faster than it did.
Yeah.
And it dragged. Frankly, nothing really happened from last Christmas to the 1st of June. And I know that's a bit hyperbolic. And there would be people inside the process who would say, that's not true. It's not literally true, but figuratively, it's pretty damn true. Mm-hmm. Not much got done. And that, in my opinion, has worked to his disadvantage. And I'll be honest, I'm and you're immensely more informed on this than I am. I think one of the questions was, would you bet on Robbins or not? I would bet on not.
Oh, and what's funny about that, and I'm not disagreeing, not really dodging the question. it was never, I mean, I pointed out in writing, it was never a sure thing. It was just, hey, if you got to pick a guy, who would it be that you thought had the best shot? Well, I mean, he did have the best shot. Might still have, in theory, the best shot. But it's felt like as everything has really heated up over the last day or two, there's been a whoa.
I'll use a good analogy that I think is real.
Yeah, I would still take the field.
Yeah. Well, there was a point there where I would have contemplated taking Robbins over the field. But that point has passed, and I'm not necessarily sure why, because I'm not in Tucson and I don't understand what's going on there, but I think a lot's going on there, and frankly, it sounds like, and no one has told me this, it sounds like some of the people there have said to him, hey, you know what, or get off the pot.
Yeah, we got a lot going on here. Need to.
Yeah, and so, but it's like this. Let's pick a school, any school. Memphis.
Sure.
Memphis decides it wants to hire a football coach. Memphis is not a great example. I'll say. I'll give you one. Tennessee.
Okay, sure.
Tennessee decides. No, we'll go with Arkansas. Arkansas is a great one because I think they're thinking about this. They're thinking to themselves, all right, this Chad Morris thing's not working. It's just not working. This is not tenable. We've put a lot of money into this stadium, and we got a lot going on, and this isn't working. We've got to figure this out, and we are going to hire a sitting head coach. Okay. Going into that process, you have to understand you can get the coordinator at – listen, you could get Rich Rodriguez to come interview for the job. He's the coordinator at Ole Miss. It's a step up. You could get Pete Golding probably to interview for the job. Now, you might have to wait till the SEC championship game's over and blah, 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 but you could get him to interview for the job. Let's say they said, nope, what we want to do is we want to hire Matt Campbell at Iowa State. We want to hire Mike Leach at Washington State. Pick your sitting head coach. That's got to get done sort of under the radar, and it's got to get done quickly because Matt Campbell's not making the flight from Ames to Fayetteville to get turned down. That would get out, and now he's done. He can't recruit ever again at Iowa State. He's effed. Done. So if he gets on the plane to come interview, it's got to be his job. And that's a little bit, and it's not exactly the same, but it's a little bit where Robbins is. If he gets on the proverbial plane to come to Mississippi to, quote, interview, he's got to know ahead of time there's no chance of a mess up. It's my job. This is a formality. And I don't know that he can get that based on what I'm hearing, and this is where you know a lot more than me, I don't know that he can get that assurance.
No, I don't think – I mean, I think he's got to play the game to some aspect.
And so if you play the game, there's a chance you lose the game. And if he loses the game, he loses.
Well, yeah, because I was told several days ago by somebody with somewhat knowledge that said, hey, you know, when this thing – because I referenced the votes, and I think the quote was, hey, you know, majority rules, but this thing could be 7-5 on him. Thought he'd get the votes, but that it was not some unanimous, hey, yeah, absolutely.
Which kind of proves my point, which is he can't get that assurance that, hey, you're going to win this thing. And if you go ahead. In today's media, stuff gets out. There's a 0.0% chance of him coming to Mississippi, interviewing for that job, and it not getting back to the people at Arizona that he interviewed. 0%.
And then in picking the person that is getting this job, it's almost kind of, I think this is a pretty good analogy on picking just from a betting standpoint. It's almost kind of like a golf tournament. Like, hey, Tiger Woods is the favorite, and maybe he's Bobby Robbins here, but it's 156 dudes in it. I'll still take the field every time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's one dude. Okay, sure, but a lot of stuff can go wrong. I don't know. So yeah, I think it's gotten in short, the kind of the too long didn't read of that. I think it's heated up and it's caused some issues. That's what I think. And we were always going to get to this heat-up moment. I mean, I had somebody mention to me that, hey, the process does not play out like this and really can't play out like this, but Bobby Robbins needs this done in like the next 2 weeks if it's him. You know, basically, hey, if it doesn't get done by this date, I just don't know if they can withstand it. And I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
As we're here. There's no doubt something has happened over the last 48 hours. And I think it's simply the attention that has picked up in the furnace.
That's what I think, too. And if you made me guess, I'd guess that it's some of the NCAA stuff with basketball. I would guess it's just the same. You know, it's one of those things. I mean, if you find out that someone that works for you is interviewing for jobs, at some point you say, hey, what do we got to do to keep you here? And if we can't get that done, I need your undivided attention. I don't need you distracted. And that might be where they are. He's got bosses too, where, hey, we've got a lot of stuff going on here, and we kind of need you locked in. They gave him some bonuses and stuff, and
he's very well compensated.
Some stuff's kind of happened to make me think, and I don't know this at all, but some stuff has kind of happened, just things I've read that make me think that they've had some conversations there about this in an attempt to keep him. And when that's the case, when you agree to those things, you sort of start to shut the other down.
Well, and it's where Ole Miss probably had the way to make that really work. If you were just dead set on him, was to go, okay, we're just going to get him. That's it. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what he was hoping would happen.
Yeah, we're just going to send the damn plane and go get on the plane.
That's where you're doing. Yeah, that's where you're right about when someone says it's nothing but a power play. No, it's more than that.
I'll take it, but I need you to come to Tucson and get me now.
People love to make fun of the word fluid.
Yeah.
But this deal is fluid. It was always fluid. It required nuance. It was not. It wasn't that simple. You know, Matt Campbell's the best example. Iowa State would love to keep Matt Campbell for a long, long time. He's made them really relevant. They probably know that they're going to have to withstand some overtures from people. But they can't ever let it get to a place that he's actively interviewing. Because then it's over. Then he's leaving, and now you know he's no longer the asset for you that he was before. And everybody involved knows that.
And
so that's kind of where this was.
And then who would I pick if it's not Robbins? I don't know. And it's not avoiding the question. It's that this could go in a number of directions. I know people love Bill Hardgrave at Auburn. I think he's getting the Auburn job, or at least he is in the big-time running for the Auburn job.
Agree.
There's no guarantee he would take the Ole Miss job, I'll be honest. I'm not ready to rule out any of the other sitting presidents. I have some issues with their situations, but I'm not ready to rule them out by any means. I mean, they have sensible resumes for this job. I would argue this is not a time for a sensible option, but nonetheless. And look, I keep mentioning Glenn Boyce. Let's be real here. Glenn Boyce was hired by the IHL and I think paid by Ole Miss. If I'm wrong, okay, let's not get caught up on nuance. To find out information about what people at Ole Miss were looking for in their next chancellor, to find out information about the chancellor, all that kind of stuff. Very involved in the process from that standpoint of information gathering. Glenn Boyce has told people he's not a candidate. Glenn Boyce has told people he doesn't want the job. I have no reason to think Glenn Boyce wants the job. However, Glenn Boyce's name will not go away, no matter what. It just keeps coming up to me. And I'm almost wondering if it's one of those deals where the IHL can't get Robbins. The IHL struggles with so-and-so. The ISL struggles with so-and-so. And then suddenly goes, well, we do have that clause in here to go find the guy we want to find in a way? Because that was sort of the clause that was allowing Pickering and Robbins and all those guys to bypass a step if they wanted to bypass a step. And there's no guarantee they don't come back to some of the dudes that haven't gotten interviews yet. They can always come back and interview more. But I think there's at least the thought process out there in the Ole Miss community that at some point the IHO approaches Boyce and just goes, hey, what do you think? Is that going to happen? I have no clue, but that is what just keeps coming at me over and over and over again for whatever reason.
Well, the reason I keep saying his name is because my source that I talked to mentioned his name directly. Yeah. Said to not count him out.
Yeah, and that's what I said. That's it. But I just want to – I don't want to – in a lot of ways, I don't want to disparage him because I don't know him, A. But B – not one single person has told me he said he wanted the job or is an applicant.
Well, here would be his problem. And we've now spent basically a podcast on this, but that's okay. It's what people want to talk about. His problem would be unfair to him. And again, I don't know the guy. I wouldn't know him if he walked in the room. The perception would be that it was an inside job by the IHL to get someone that they could control.
Yeah, because it does not follow their process.
To get someone that they already know, to get someone that would play nice, to get someone that, rather than fighting for Ole Miss, would just say, yeah, whatever you guys want me to do, okay. I don't think he'd ever be able to really overcome that stigma. It would be a wildly unpopular hire at a time that Ole Miss really needs a feel-good hire. Ole Miss needs to hire somebody that people go, okay, here we go. It's been a rough road here, but we're out of the storm, and look, honey, there's the sun. Here we go. That's what they need, and I don't know that he can provide that. That's not fair to him. He might potentially be the greatest chancellor of a university in the history of university chancellors. He might be the absolute right guy in practicality.
But he's not the football coach that's going to sell the tickets.
No, it would be Tennessee saying, hey, we're going after Matt Campbell, and then hiring the guy at Knoxville Farragut.
Yeah.
Might be a really good coach, but nobody's getting excited about that.
Yeah. That's where it stands.
Ole Miss needs some excitement. And this is where the system to me is flawed. I'll finish with this. If this were an Ole Miss board hiring an Ole Miss chancellor, I think they would be far more in tune with that need. I'm not sure that the IHL board is in tune with that need, and I'm not sure it really cares.
I think Ford Dye knows that.
But he's one dude.
I think Chip Morgan knows that.
So two guys.
Yeah.
In 12, that's 1 in 6. That's 16.7%.
Ooh.
That's not a vocal majority.
Right.
If you had 12 Chip Morgans and 4 Dyes, it'd be a completely different search. It'd be a different situation where maybe you look at it and say, hey, you know what? $700,000 a year isn't going to get it done. This investment's worth it. We're going to pay more. Let's go get our guy. Let's go kiss his ass. Let's go get him. Let's go make him feel good. Let's go sit on the tarmac at wherever and say, we're not leaving without you. Sort of a Jeremy Foley when he went and got Urban Meyer and said, I'm not leaving. You're my guy.
And if at the end of the day he doesn't take it, I can come back home, hold my head up high, and go, I did every freaking thing I could do.
Yeah, I mean, I literally did everything but kidnap him. I mean, the next step in my process would have been a felony.
Yeah.
And I thought about the felony. Ha, ha, ha. And everybody laughs and goes, well, we didn't get him. We tried.
Yeah.
We didn't get him.
Gave a hell of an effort.
Yeah. I mean, so that's...
Because frankly, that is the IHL's problem here. That's not all their fault by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still things. If it's a hire that is deemed unsatisfactory, we've been talking about Bobby Robbins so far. There's going to be a lot of Ole Miss people go, why didn't you just go beg him? Why didn't you go get him?
Well, yeah, there will be people that say so.
I mean, all this because he didn't fill out an application formally? Okay, fine, whatever.
Say so. I mean, I can hear it being said. So you paid an inexperienced offensive line coach who's never been a head coach $3.5 million, but you can't pay a chancellor $1.1? Now, is that fair? Is that apples to cantaloupes? Yeah. But you're getting into an emotional perception and stuff at a time when you really need something good to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this. This would be a real good time for Kermit Davis to walk into somebody and go, hey, I want a raise.
Yeah.
He ought to walk in. I mean, Kermit, if you're listening, and I know you're not, you have more power right now. You ought to walk in and go, yeah, I've been thinking, I just need another $1 million.
Yeah. Something on basketball in 1 second. We'll get to that. Right after this, first tell you about Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape. Premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but a lot more as well. Custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. The patch your dream backyard easier than you think. 662-607-7773 or go mastercuts.com.
Podcast also brought to you in part by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. You guys know how this works. You get in touch with John, you give him some parameters, you give him a budget. He gives you lots of options for your travel. He'll make it a trip that you'll never forget, your loved ones will never forget. He'll give you just a myriad of options that you won't find on your own, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of the services. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel. On the podcast, we're also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. It's home to Soul Spa. It's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, recently recognized as the top hotel in Mississippi. Great people. Our friend Ben Craddock is a part of that ownership group. They take great care of their customers. If you're passing through Jackson for work, for pleasure, give the Westin Jackson a shot. It'll become your go-to hotel in and around the Jackson area. It's the Westin Jackson in downtown Jackson. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Mind on My Money podcast is up. You can hear the CEO of Pinnacle Trust, Stacey Wall, on that podcast. You'll understand why so many people trust their financial planning, their retirement planning, their business 401k planning in the hands of the people at Pinnacle Trust. They do a remarkably good job. They treat you as an individual, not as some cookie cutter. They don't put you in a plan that's already pre-built. They build a plan just for you. To learn more, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Podcast also brought to you by Southern Craft Stove and Tap. It's located off Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue. Southern Craft Stove and Tap places an emphasis on food and atmosphere, mixing the quality of fine dining with the come-as-you-are environment. Featuring 30 craft beers and offering a high-quality selection of cuisine and libations, Southern Craft Stove and Tap has you covered for any occasion. So join them for lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch, or have your favorites catered out. Catering orders placed online currently receive $25 off any order totaling $100 or more. So avoid the chaos of parking on the square. Head over and experience carefully crafted dishes with your favorite Southern ingredients. Southern Craft Stove and Tap, Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford.
Oh, let's see. I'm skipping around a little bit because obviously we spent a ton of time on the Chancellor search there. It was worth it. Needed. No problem with that. Let's see. Let me find some questions. More likely to happen, Matt Luke fired at the end of 2019 or after week 6 of 2020? Not saying either's happening, just what's more likely, people.
I would say 2020.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's my opinion, and again, I don't think, number one, I hate the word deserve. I hate the word fair. When you make 3-point-something million, there's no deserve or fair. I think it's likely that he's going to get 2020 regardless. I know people say, but Neil, and I get it. If they lose to Vanderbilt and attendance falls off the cliff and they go 3-9, 1-7 in the league, and there's 11,000 people at the New Mexico State game, there's going to be some soul searching. But as not to get back on the Chancellor thing, who's doing the soul searching?
I know.
I think Keith Carter. I could be wrong. I need to ask Keith at some point. But I don't think Keith Carter has the authority to fire a football coach. Or the what's the word I'm looking for? The not power, but just the capital to conduct a coaching search. A real national coaching search? Let's use Matt Campbell for an example. Let's say you talk to Matt Campbell through back channels and he says, well, are you going to be my boss? I don't know. Who's your boss? I don't know. So I don't know who my boss is going to be or who my boss's boss is going to be. I'll pass. Are there coaches who would take that? Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe you could get Willie Frist or something to take a job in that scenario. Maybe. People get into 2020. Look, I look at the schedule. I get it. If play this out, and worst case, 3-9, 1-7, nobody there, and you lose to Baylor and Houston next year, and then you lose the Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and I might have that in the wrong order. I don't know, but there's 3 in some fashion in a row. You go over. Yeah, it's bad. And I don't know. It might be so bad at that point that the writing is on the wall for everyone involved. And I would think it's more likely that by this time next season, there's a chancellor and an AD and a hierarchy in place.
Will Nick Saban throw his headset on the ground during the game, and if so, for what? Well, I don't know. Hopefully it's not when he was mad at Blake Sims for running for a touchdown in 2011. Let's see.
I was watching it through your binoculars.
Oh, when that happened?
Yep.
He was really mad.
He was yelling at Jim McElwain for scoring.
Yes. And McElwain's mouthing, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah, if I remember right, he was saying we're just running the same play.
Yeah. All right, predictions for Cowboys Saints on Sunday night. Also, if you had to guess what team other than Astros, Dodgers, and Yankees would you choose to win it all? I guess the Braves.
Yep.
And then I think the Cowboys win on Sunday night. And I'm not being that fan. I have a hard time believing Bridgewater's going to beat the Seahawks and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks.
I'm picking the Saints.
Are you?
Yep.
Why?
I think that defensively they're going to give Dak problems. They're going to be able to get to him. I think they're going to be able to stop the run. I think that crowd makes a difference in that environment. You talk about where a night game matters. Sunday night games in New Orleans are rowdy. And then I just think Sean Payton's a genius.
You think he'll figure something out?
I do.
How much money has to be raised on charity for Neil to eat a banana and mayonnaise sandwich live on the internet?
Yeah, I want the damn money if I'm going to do that.
Oh, we're not just doing charity here?
You don't understand how many times I'd throw up. I'd be sick for days.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Who are the 3 people y'all would most desire to have on the podcast? Have y'all ever had a guest and while they're talking, y'all are thinking to yourself, good Lord, that's horrible. This guy is dead air or something to that caliber? Absolutely on that second one.
Absolutely.
Several times, including one that I do comes to mind and I still laugh about.
Yeah.
Back when Jeffrey was with us too. Oh, God. It was like 40 seconds in, and I just took the headset off and looked at both of them like, oh, my God.
What are we doing?
I don't know what to do here.
Where's the abort button?
It's like, hey, if we cut this, would it matter? If we just
if we just told him we're having a technical issue with that,
yeah.
We'll call you back and then don't call back.
Yeah, that one was really, really bad. Truth serum on 3 guests. Like, if they had to tell the truth, I could do whatever I wanted. Neil would probably want Joe Madden. That'd be fun.
Yeah, but my Joe Madden
Hugh
conversation.
Freeze.
I'd love to have Hugh Freeze on the show. Absolutely. Would love to have Hugh Freeze on the show. I think it would get combative quick, but I would love to have him on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, people I would enjoy talking to. I'm a really, really big fan of Anthony Rizzo, the human being, not just the first baseman for the Cubs. I would love to talk to him about his life and his experiences, and he seems like a genuinely good person, and I would be super interested.
Let's see. What's the best food you've had at another SEC town and then a non-SEC town while covering an athletic event? He gave several options. I mean, do we count Nashville because it's so different? I mean, that's the answer, but it's a little unfair to everywhere else, frankly.
I went to a couple of good places in Columbia for the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Auburn has gotten better. It's still not the answer by any means, but like Acre and some of those places are really good.
Acre's one of the best meals I ever had, but I was not there covering an event, so I didn't count it. I was there with Campbell on the college visit.
A non-SEC town, and now this probably doesn't count. People are going to roll their eyes at me, but Birmingham. It's not an SEC town.
Oh.
I mean, Birmingham has really good restaurants. I have a really good time during the SEC tournament, and a lot of that is food related because I try to avoid just going to J. Alexander's 9 times and actually go into Birmingham to eat.
Oh yeah, no, I like Birmingham a lot.
I mean, I'm not going to go the New Orleans route. That's duh. I ate at a couple really good steakhouses in Houston when I was there for that baseball tournament a couple years ago. Minneapolis was really good when I was there for baseball. I was really impressed with Minneapolis. I wasn't expecting that, but I mean, it's a big city. There's going to be food.
Yeah, I like Minneapolis.
Yeah,
it's a cool town. I like it a lot.
So there's a few. SEC towns.
I don't know. Whatever.
Football weekends aren't the time to really get that. It really takes a baseball weekend to really even have that opportunity because you're there multiple days and it got some downtime. Football weekend, you're so hair on fire in and out.
Yeah.
There's just not the opportunity for that. I will say that I think Baton Rouge is very overrated from a food place.
Agreed.
It does nothing for me.
No, my last couple of times in Baton Rouge, I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It does not do much. I had a good time in College Station, but I wasn't really in College Station. I stayed out in the Woodlands.
Yeah, that's not the same.
That doesn't count. Any significance to why you named all 3 of your kids starting with the letter C?
No, we had a hard time coming up with Campbell's name. And so she was born in May of 2001. So when we were trying to pick names after we found out she was a girl, it was during the presidential election of 2000, which, if you remember correctly, went on and on and on. And the person covering this, back when you watched network news, we watched NBC News, and Campbell Brown was the reporter covering George W. Bush, his campaign. And I liked her name. And we kept talking about names, and it was down to Caroline or Campbell, and we went with Campbell. And then when Caroline, we got pregnant with the girl pretty quickly after she was born, it was a pretty easy choice. It wasn't a plan to do a C. And then when we decided to have a third, and we're fortunate enough to have a third, we just figured we probably needed to go with another C.
Okay. If you were paid $100,000 every time Mike Tyson hit you in the face, how many times would you let him hit you? 0, because he would kill me.
Yeah, he'd kill me on the first punch.
Yeah, no. There is no number.
No.
Just stand there and let him hit you? God, no.
No.
Not even a little bit. I do not drink rum at all. I have no favorite. I don't know.
A listener to our podcast got me a bottle of rum, and I have not yet tried it.
I really like daiquiri, so put whatever you want in that, but otherwise, yeah, I just don't know. Just, yeah. Let's see. Before we finish up with a couple others here, I'll tell you about Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com/events. Go to the events page. See everything going on in town this week and all weeks, including obviously for home football weekends when there's much more going on. You can see where to stay, where to eat, what to do, and see. Bookmark the link and keep it close to you. Again, visit oxfordms.com/events.
We mentioned Birmingham. Blue Delta Jeans is in Birmingham today. They were in Oklahoma City yesterday. They were in Atlanta earlier in the week, but they're in Birmingham today. So if you're in or around Birmingham, maybe you're heading over to Tuscaloosa for the contest. You want to get in touch with the Blue Delta people, you can. Send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com, to book an appointment or a time for a private fitting. And then while you've got them, ask them about the Gino. It's out in the open. They're pre-selling the fabric. They're going to start sewing in around Halloween, late next month. So don't miss this opportunity. Reserve your spot in the first run of this great new fabric line from Blue Delta Jeans. It's also a good weekend to get beer. It's always a good weekend to get beer. I would suggest if you're in or around Oxford that you stop by Jackson Beer Company. They've got 10 beer taps for sampling and growler fill. You can mix your own pack of beers from the single shelf with more than 350 beers to choose from. Ask about the kegs to go. Join their text program for special deals. Text JBeer to 51660. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter at Jackson Beer Co., at Instagram at Jackson Beer Company at 662-638-3642. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt at home next weekend. Tickets remain. It's OleMissTix.com. Ole Miss volleyball tonight at home at 6:30 against Tennessee. OleMissSports.com, and the Ole Miss soccer team beat Mississippi State last night, brought the Magnolia Cup.
It was a draw. They kept the trophy.
I stand corrected, so they keep the trophy. So draw, they come home and they play Auburn on Sunday afternoon in Oxford. It's free, so bring your family out and enjoy Rebel soccer.
Yes, it was they have kept the cup every year since 2012. However, it was a tie last night. So there's that. There's a basketball season ticket question. Ticket sales are already higher now than they were at the highest point of last season. They've already sold more tickets this year than they did all of last year for basketball.
Yeah, I don't have a number, but they've sold a bunch.
A bunch. You might want to get at it is the answer if you're doing that. We end on this because I laughed about it. Colonel Rebel. Holiday preparations are here, and by that I mean my wife telling me when her family will be invading our home. I tried faking sick and confining myself to the bedroom. It helps, but I can't do it every year. I've tried drinking and other recreational drugs. That helped a little. Thought about a cruise just to get away from it. My wife thinks that means including her family as well. Spending thousands of dollars just to be with her family is a special kind of hell. Tips, tricks, please God help. Thanks.
I don't ever really have to deal with this. So I don't know.
There is no answer. You just try to limit the time as much as possible. There's no real good answer here. If it was supposed to be 4 days, cut it to 3, 6, 5. That's it.
Yeah.
You're going to be dealing with this. Maybe find a way to make it every other year, too. That's a possibility.
Yeah. It's just like I said, it's not something that we just
you don't have to Griswold it up
together for the holidays. So we'll sometimes do Thanksgiving a little bit, but we've never really done Christmas because everyone wants to do Christmas at their own place, which is understandable.
And you're working on Thanksgiving most days, most nights.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, especially when the kids were little and I was covering Auburn or whatever, or doing SEC stuff, I was working immediately after Christmas. I mean, there were Christmases where I left on Christmas Day to get to a bowl site.
Yeah. Last question on the list here. Is it okay to start putting pressure on the baseball freshmen to get us to the postseason, or do you think Mike already has that covered? Always love it. Not until February, but people, please. Maybe they'll lose to Memphis and Arkansas State this fall just to give us something to talk about. Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, I didn't even know what was going on. I was in Fayetteville last Friday, and I started hearing all this about baseball, and I saw all these like Oklahoma people around wearing OU Sooner stuff. They had an exhibition against OU that the place was basically jam-packed.
Yeah, I understand what Mike's doing and the reason he does it the way he does, but it would be really neat to actually play a name program and fill it up and kind of have a neat night.
Yeah. I'm not doing Arkansas fanboy stuff. I swear to God, I'm not. I knew nothing about it. I was kind of blown away. I was like, what are all these OU people doing? And then I saw the picture on Twitter, and I thought, is that for an intra squad? Because I was be really impressed and freaked out a little at the same time. And then someone said, no, that's Oklahoma's there to play an exhibition. And I was like, well, that's incredible.
Yeah. Mike wants to play all home games. He doesn't want to travel in a fall game.
Yeah.
So he just picks a couple teams to come in and play.
I think he's wrong there. And I'm sure he would tell me, well, next time you coach a team, you do what you want to do, and it's a fair point.
Frankly, he doesn't like them in general because you're losing practice time with them because you're only half the team instead of the full team.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing, like for Oklahoma, that's traveling to Fayetteville, staying in a hotel, playing a game. It gives you that experience where you can screw up.
Mm-hmm.
When you do it in the spring, it won't be the first time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would take some of the pressure off that spring trip being so important because Mike does like getting on the road early in the year. He might have already had that accomplished by then.
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right, plenty of podcasts for your perusal. Again, today, Soft Verbal Beer Garden, Greatest Pod in the South, and then all of our offerings here on this here flagship show. So we will talk to you again on Monday. Ole Miss and Alabama, 2:30 CBS tomorrow. Take care.